Well, hello, dear knitting friend. It's been a while, but that means that I have a couple of finished objects, which are going to be shown at the lower bar. So if you want to skip into whichever, feel free to do that. What do we have today? There is the Corbis Sweater, which is made from Knitting for Olive pure silk. Then there is like a hiking or a day hike or hiking or whatever sweater from a very, very thin Finnish lamb wool. Some Legwarmers. A sweater from an interesting yarn. And then there's another hiking or outdoor sweater. And this is from Letlopi. And this also, the dress or the tunic, I'll be showing this one too. They're both from Letlopi, really different with their gauge. A beanie, and then an unfinished object, which is a whip, is the cardigan or the whip of the year, the Vaaka, and I'll be showing where I'm at with this one. Okay, so welcome and hope you're enjoying the knitting that you're doing at your end. Let's get started. Here we go. So let's start with this one. This one has no pattern that I followed, but I did take some stitch counts from earlier projects and everything. This is made out of this lentävä lapanen soft Donegal. So let's see, there is the soft Donegal, and here is the company. And I bought this more than a year ago from the knitting festival in Jyväskylä. This is all the yarn that is left, so I used about 5.5 skeins. I did not believe the wonderful lady who knew it very well that I would only need 1 skein of the kind of the color block on the top, so I bought 2. I have 1 extra now, and these are the other skeins left, kind of like I had 2 of each, so a bit left of each of those. This yarn is peculiar. It is wound in a way that when you're knitting it, it really gets twisted. So it was a bit difficult to knit. It's really soft. It's like, it reminds me of like old cotton t-shirts or something. Even though the consistency is, where is it? 100% merino wool. So merino, but it does not feel like that, okay? It has kind of like a paper feel to it also. It's really twisted. And I have not washed this yet. And it says in the document next to it, I've already finished this in, I think, March or April, but I still have not washed it. I've worn it a couple times. And I'm looking forward to hitting a rainy day where I would not need to put it into a washer. But it says here that to get the best result at the end, you should wash it in a wool wash program from 30 to 40 Celsius, not with a fine program. It has that in bolded, and use a little of wool detergent. And you can also then spin it lightly, maximum 400 per minute. So what I'm gonna do, I've done this one time in this podcast before, that I washed something in the middle of the podcast, and those who were here may remember that my slippers that were supposed to felt in the wash went in size this and came out size this. Never felt it. And this is one of the reasons that I'm always really worried about washing any knitted items. But I think what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to now, in the middle of all of this, go put this in the washer, and if it comes out okay, maybe by the end of the podcast we'll see a difference. I'll have to show you now that it kind of pulls into here and there. I made extra rows. I started from the top. I had this kind of shoulder pads done, and at the same time increased on the sides of them all the time. And then I did some short rows here to the shoulders. and it kind of pulls, but it's soft, and it kind of, if I just kind of put it into place, it stays. And if you can see, this lower part also kind of twists to the side. So I think washing would be needed. So I will try that. Let's see how that goes. Okay, here we go. The washer's on. I don't know how that's going to turn out. In my washing machine, I have not the one that you fill up from the top, but the one that you fill from the side. So I have a wool wash program. It was wool wash / hand wash. And then it has the lowest heat is 20 Celsius. I chose that one, and the wool program, and the spinning, the minimum in my programs, if any, was 400. So within an hour, it should come out of there. Let's see how that goes. I really am anxious to see if the colors leak or bleed, or what happens when I put it into the washer. We'll see. Okay, this shirt is Corbis. It is by Natasja Hornby. Let's see. And I made this from the same yarn as the pattern suggests. So my yarn is this Knitting for Olive pure silk in the colorway Olive. And I love the yarn. It is really soft. What I liked about this yarn was also that it doesn't have any cuts or knots or anything. And I found, at least for me, that I liked knitting this with wooden needles. If I tried it with metallic ones, it's really soft and kind of slippery. The gauge was too loose for me. So, and even with the wooden needles, I chose the cubics, which are the kind of cubic on the side, so that it doesn't roll in your hands like a round thing. It actually has those kind of edges in there. So that's what I used for knitting this. The construction is really different from anything that at least I've knit before. So it has this kind of, let me turn here. It has this back panel on the back, and it's knit kind of like as a square. Oh, this is funny when I'm bowing down here. But so you can see that it continues to the sleeves. It has this kind of like construction that goes all the way from the top of the arm to the center, and then it continues to the top of the other arm. And it has this kind of basket weave in the front. The neckline I did at least 3 times to get it. First it was too big, then it was too small, then it was just right, just like in the Goldilocks and the Three Bears. And what else? Yes, I really like this, how this yarn shows the basket weave and all the interesting details. And then what is interesting, that once you've done this kind of end of the basket weave, then you do short rows underneath the arm for a long time, so that you can then continue the body. And then there's not much of the body left once you're there. So it's really interesting through and through. I highly recommend both the pattern and the yarn. We had a knit along with this pattern, and Villamaassa, a Finnish knitter called Paula, she won that knit along, and we met again in the knitting festival, during the knitting festival in Jyväskylä in the summertime. And she made hers from wool. Now, I don't remember her yarn, but it really is beautiful too. So you can really make this out of the many kinds of materials, and this is like the summer version when it's the pure silk. But then I think it would be really nice from some high twisted wool that would have good stitch definition. So yeah, highly recommend the pattern. And how much yarn I used was that I used a bit less than 5 skeins. And my size is M, but I started with an M from the top, but my chest circumference is about 40 inches, 100 centimeters. So I felt like this part here would need to be something like L or even larger. So one of the wonderful earlier knitters had made project notes into Ravelry. I stole her idea, and I stole, because the arms in the pattern are wider than what I made, I stole 12 stitches from the arm stitches and added them to the circumference of the body. I also always push some of the stitches to the front so that there's a bit more stitches in the front panel than in the back, which in this case required a bit of math to have the actual correct places for all of the kind of turns and whatnot so that it fits. But if you just follow the pattern, you won't have to do the math. So just go with it. Okay, I hope you like this too. I really enjoyed knitting this. It was so different from all the other patterns that I've knit before. The next one is this hiking sweater or layering sweater, or how would you call this? This idea came to me during the knitting festival last summer, or the summer of 24. They had this booth for Rintalan Luomutila, which has this organic wool from Finland, and they had this Iivari lace weight. They have Iivari, the same yarn, also as thicker weight, but this was the lace weight one. And they just came out with this yarn, and they had some shawls hanging at the booth, and if you bought X amount of the yarn, you would get the pattern also. And I really, when I felt this yarn, it smells like lamb, it feels like it still has the lanolin in it, and it just talked to me. But I didn't need a shawl or a scarf. And I went to the hotel in the evening and then thought about it, and I thought I really need this kind of layering piece for hiking. And I went back and I talked to the lady from the farm, and I said, do you think it would fit this idea? And she said, why don't you try it? So I did. We agreed that I needed 200 grams may cut it, but then just to be on the sure side, I bought 300 grams. The weight of this shirt is 217. And you'll see I would have done this fine with 200 if I made a couple of different choices. I started from the very top. It's all in one piece with 3mm needles. I made this ribbing to the neck, really long. I actually made this 2 times because the first one was too wide, and I really like it to fit right next to my neck so that it's warm. And then I did some short rows to the back to get the back a bit higher, then just raglans until I felt like it was enough. Then I started went down a bit of the body and left it there to make the sleeves in between so that I would know how long I want actually the shirt. When I was about halfway done with the sleeves, I was looking at them and I was like, oh my goodness, they're way too wide. And I was somewhere here and I thought, I need to go back. And then I was thinking, well, it doesn't really feel that bad. I don't now have more than a bra underneath, so there's no shirt taking any thickness or adding any thickness to my arms here. But then I thought sometimes I might want to put this on top of a, wider sleeved shirt or something. I decided just peace, be with it. And I like it because now I've worn this, for example, with a very thin Gore-Tex, like a top jacket. And when there's more fabric on the sleeves, it's really warm. It's not skin tight, so it gives me, the air in between also gives me the warmth. And then I made the sleeves really long. They're so long that I can, if I open them, they go over my fingers. But when I push them back or fold them back like this, they're perfect. I did some extra short rows to the higher back and to the lower back to make the back side longer than the front side, so, which is also nice for hiking. And that's basically it. And I love it. I think I could live in it. I hope it's going to be durable. I think for the purpose that I made it for, it's going to be just perfect. The lace weight yarn is so thin at some points, and since it doesn't have anything else but the pure wool, if I came across a section where the yarn was exceptionally thin and it felt like, is that going to last? I just grabbed 20 centimeters off, or 6 inches, 8 inches of of yarn from the other skein and added that and kind of knit with 2 yarns for a short distance, so that I covered that kind of thinner area with 2 yarns. You can never see it from here because it's wool, it's pure wool. It's gonna just, you know, melt in and melt in, but you don't see where I've used 2, and you just kind of knit until you're at the end of that yarn piece, and it's there somewhere. And yeah, 217 grams. But if I had made this shorter, or the sleeves narrower, or not quite as wide as it is now, or whatever, small changes here or there would have just probably saved that 17 grams if I had bought just the 200 grams. And again, what is my size? My size is about medium, sometimes large, depending. The chest circumference is 40 inches / 100 centimeters. And I have a bit of a, is it a short back? Yeah, my legs are longer and my back is shorter. If that makes any difference. So I'm 5'7", 170 centimeters with a shorter back. Okay, there are your reference numbers. Okay, I think I'm gonna go next to the other hiking sweater. Just a sec. Yes, it's recording. Okay, I come and go with different outfits. Here we are. This one is made from Letlopi. Ooh, dropped my phone, sorry. Let's see. Here's the, well, you know Letlopi. Yes. And it is this very thick Icelandic wool. Some people find it scratchy. I don't have anything else but bra underneath, and I'm fine with it. This pattern is called Retkikaveri. It's by Jenna Kostet, who's also in Instagram under the tag or the handle Ihtirekonits. Yes, her handle is Ihtirekonits, and she has made beautiful, beautiful patterns throughout her designing years. She is known in particular for her designs for the Finnish national epic Kalevala. And yes, check her out, check her Instagram, because she is really, I'll show it again if you missed it. I love it when people say in their podcast something like check her out, and then the name went a long time ago, then I have to go, where was that name? Okay, I'll of course put these also underneath so you can find them in the box. This sweater, I had an idea for this because there was another podcaster who podcasts in Finnish. She has this neuleita retkirepustani, where she's always, that translates to knits from my hiking backpack, or yeah, and she's always out somewhere. She's a wonderful lady, and she always is somewhere in the nature, and she has her knits in her backpack, and then she has a few of them that she then tells about most recent whips and finished objects. And one time she was talking about this need for a knitted sweater that would be like really thick and tightly knit, so that the gauge would be so tight that the wind wouldn't get so much through. So it would be kind of windproof-ish sweater. And I thought, I want to do that, because normally when I knit something from Letlopi or Icelandic yarn, I use thicker needles. This time I use 3.25 millimeter to 3.5 millimeter, and it made it really kind of, particularly the part where I have 2 colors going, that colorwork area is of course really thick and then almost windproof. I changed the pattern a bit, because at the lower part, the original one has these kind of blocks. They're like reflections from the water. But since my color selection was low contrast, I decided to do a bit different image here. And then I ran out of the yellow yarn at some point, and my son said that he thought that the sleeves, particularly the ribbing, really needed to be with the yellowish color. I made them as long as I could make them, because I then ran out of the yellow. This one has a collar that is thick. Oh, sorry. And this was something that I was doubting beforehand, because it has this folded collar. And I thought with the Icelandic thick yarn, isn't that kind of really stiff and not good? But I love it. I made it a couple of sizes smaller than my size. And then right after the collar, I went and added in enough stitches to match it to the size that I was making. I was making the size 4, which is in that pattern 104 centimeters for the chest circumference. And I did make some short rows in the back, but you can see the darker color before the actual color work starts. Sorry. But I don't remember if the pattern actually had the short rows there. Where the pattern did have, in particular, the short rows was the lower back. So here. And I really like the way that this shaped the backside and the lower backside of the sweater. I don't know if you can see it. Was I close enough or far enough? It really comes low down, even kind of covering the butt. And in the front, it is shorter. So that for outdoors things is really nice. I've been using this a ton, and I really like it. So in case you don't knit in Finnish from the Finnish patterns, and the link to the pattern that I put down below is of no use for you, well, you can get you can see the color work and a chart and something there, but maybe still need more in English. She has her other designs in English, so check her out. She's really talented. Okay, what next? Let's see. I know, I don't need to change. Let's see, because actually I could just, before I go to this one, I could show you the beanies. These beanies are beanies that I keep making out of this really thin yarn, because I've noticed that, particularly in Finland, the weather changes, for example, in the summer evenings so drastically from the day, or you're at the summer house, you take a sauna, and then you come out and it's a bit chilly. It's really nice to put on like a really thin layering beanie on top of your head. So I'm making this out of this. This is how. For 50 grams it has 400 meters, so for 100 grams it has 800 meters. So this is really thin lace yarn. It's called Alpaca 400. It's from the Hjertegarn, and I'm making another one, and I've made one before. These beanies, they weigh ridiculously little, something like, I don't know, 20 grams. They are really just thin, and you can fit them into your jeans pocket. You're out somewhere, or hoodie pocket or something, or I keep one in my, like, can I call it handbag that I carry around, a tote or whatnot. And they're just, you can make them with ribbing, you can make them with just stockinette, and they're just so simple, but yet so nicely warm enough. And for example, when I've started running, when I go out walking or running, I feel like I get sweaty, but with this kind of a beanie, just kind of breathes through, but it's still a layer of warmth. So something to make, just something small, either for yourself or for someone who needs a bit of warmth in their life. Then another pair of leg warmers. I didn't even know if they were going to turn out into being socks, but then once I got here, I decided I'm going to get more use out of them if they're just leg warmers, and that's what I've done. I keep wearing them all the time with different like tops and whatnot. And for example, with this, and I am in the making of yet another pair. So like this, and originally there is a pattern for some of these kind of like images that are on the top, but I've never had the pattern. But my grandmother, my mother-in-law and my godmother both have made me socks with the pattern, and I've loved the socks, and I've just kind of followed the how the socks look. There are some really fiddly stuff also in the socks that they've made, which I am not able to repeat. So these are not exact copies of what they've made, but kind of into that direction. Okay, then this tunic in a sec. Okie dokie, people, knitting people who understand washing knits probably far better than me. This is directly out of the washer after the spinning, so it's still wet and heavy. Well, not that heavy, but still, you know. What we are very happy about is that none of the colors bled. So it is what it was when it went in there. That is wonderful. That is really wonderful, because I would have not been that surprised if the blue had been all over the place. But wonderful. So, and then the thickness of the yarn is now kind of there. It doesn't have the same kind of holes and everything that it had before. Not holes, but you know, it wasn't this thick before. So it was kind of more see-through, and now it certainly isn't. What it still has is that, for example, if you look at the blue stripe there, the knitted stripe goes to one direction, and then when you get to the ribbing, that kind of shifts to the other direction. How is that even possible? Me did not knit like that. Me went only one direction. How does it go this way and then turns that way? I don't know. But I will now go and lay it on towel and straighten it up at least somewhat. Leave it there to dry and see what happens. Then I'll come back and tell you about this, and I think then we're done. Okie dokie, we're going towards the last finished object. There's plenty of these, have been plenty of these, because it's been such a long time. This one actually I knit quite fast, even though I did it almost 2 times. It is from this Novita, Kaarrokeneuleet-lehdessä magazine that Novita published when they had their 50-year anniversary. And this is the very last. It has 50 yoke sweaters or like a tunic like this one. So this is the tunic, Talvea kohti, towards winter. And it's kind of A-lined, or I don't know how you call it when it's kind of like, what am I sitting on? When it's like shaped like from the boobs, it goes like, so it's not A-like, but it's like this kind of a, I don't know. So I didn't particularly like that for my shape. So what I did was I knit this, and after separating for the sleeves, I only kind of gradually, when I tried it on, added, and I think I made the increases maybe 8 times. So 2 on both sides, so 4 altogether on one row. So maybe 8 times, maybe every 6 centimeters or something. And so this is also from Letkikaveri, and these 3 colors. And I really like this galaxy color. I don't know if you can see, it's in the middle, and it has all these kinds of shapes of blue and purple and petrol. It is really nice, and kind of makes it's not flat black. It has some depth to it. And okay, this is gonna be awkward, but I'm gonna try and show how long this is. I made it longer than in the pattern. So let me get up here. I don't know if you can see it, but it's below my knees. Here we are. There's a bit of color work at the hemline here right before the ribbing. I had the same for the sleeves, and I really like it. I wear it at work. I wear it outside. If I wear it with something that has like windproof, thicker things underneath, then I can have it in very cold weather. And then inside I just have like a t-shirt or, you know, something underneath. And I did make some short rows, so they're in the back before the color work, and also right after the color work, so that it fits better. But other than that, followed the pattern, and yeah, this was a kind of my dream to make a really big woolen skirt dress, dress or tunic or long tunic that I really wanted for a long time, and I'm really happy I made it. And I think I have a stash of Icelandic yarn, and I think I should make a couple more because I could live in these. Well, I could live in these two, and I just want to live in wool. Okay, one more thing. My most active whip currently, you can tell that it hasn't been the most active whip for a long time because I started this, I think it was September 23. So it's the Vaaka Cardigan by Johanna, which you must know it if you are from the knitting scene. It has the thicker stripes of fingering weight yarn and then the mohair stripes. It is similar to Elton that oh my god, something blackouting in my brain. Ohje Locatelli. Oh my goodness. Ohje Locatelli had that first, and that's kind of a drop shoulder inset sleeves or something, kind of a boxy. And this one has more kind of a round yoke. Yeah, so different construction, but the same idea of having those stripes with fingering weight and mohair weight, so that it makes the stripes. I did not trust myself in knitting the mohair for X amount of rows. So I purchased the pattern, but I only took some parts of the pattern for use, and I am using both mohair. This mohair is like not how do you call it? Not hand dyed, but kind of store bought as black mohair. It's a drops kit silk, and then I have this wonderful yarn skein. This is hand dyed by, where's the skein label? Here, by Lucky Omen Yarns, who is Jenna. She also has a wonderful podcast in Finnish. So here's her tag for her yarn, Lucky Omen Yarns. And then here's the information on the yarn. There we go. And where I am is so what I did is I go and change every row. So I go back and forth with mohair, I change into fingering, I go back and forth with fingering, I change to mohair. So it's always 2 rows of each. So it does not look like Vaaka kind of at all because it doesn't have the same stripes. But here is where we are at. Doing this, I was able to make the first button band for the buttons on the go. So when I was knitting the actual garment, I also made the button band to the one side. And then now I've started the other button band by picking up the stitches from this side. And then I have this fiddly system here where I'm coming from the lower part and I'm always attaching it to the one stitch on the side that I've lifted here. So here I'm knitting the button band to the sweater. So it takes a bit of time, but peace. I love knitting, so I love spending time with that, and that's fine. Okay, I hope you've had a wonderful year, and I hope you're having an excellent fall, having some time to spend with your fiber, knitting, crocheting, what is your thing. And I had an excellent summer of visiting some Finnish nature parks, and at the same time we always try to find the local yarn stores. I did purchase some yarn from here and there, but I will introduce those yarns to you once I get knitting with them. I'm really happy that I've finished some long time whips, and of course this one was new on the needles suddenly in the summer, this lace weight hiking sweater. But that really was something that I knit throughout the summer vacation from the knitting festival onwards, and basically that was all that I knit during the summer vacation, and then I had it done right after that, so for the cooler weathers of the fall. But yes, no more babbling. So if you've watched this far, congratulations. You're a trooper. I hope you had wonderful time knitting. Please let me know underneath. What were you knitting or crocheting or doing? Some people I know, sometimes I even vacuum clean while listening to the podcasts and then glancing on the side. So let me know if you did something like, I don't know, household chores or something else. Okay, so wonderful to see you here. I hope to see you again, and all comments are welcome underneath. Have a wonderful fall.